Hi everyone, this is Lada from astrolada.com and I'm here to do your July 2018 horoscope together with Mila. Mila is 3 months. Say hi, Mila. She's been my source of strength because the July horoscopes 2018 and August, these are the two most extreme months of 2018. Guys, lives will be transformed, fates will take a new direction, changes on an epochal way because we have two huge eclipses happening, and we also are going to, hey Mila, and we have Mars retrograde and Mercury going retrograde. I would walk you through all of this. I just wanted you first to have some fun, see Mila, to start on a positive tone, and we will end also on a positive note, talking about Jupiter going direct and how you can benefit from that. But be prepared for one of the most intense, exciting months, possibly also the most difficult months, July and August together. I'm just gonna drop Mila to my mom. Hey, say bye, Mila. Bye. Wish everyone luck during the eclipses. Wish them luck to have the best results possible. There you go. Thank you. And why are these months, especially July and August, so crazy? Well, people who are yearning for a change, for a big change in their life, people that want to totally transform their thinking and certain areas of their lives, they might actually have a blast this month and consider it one of the most powerful and one of the most positive experiences of their life. But eclipses always bring some crisis of a sort. And eclipses, and I'm making the same intro for everyone, for all the 12 signs. I want you to listen to it because it gives us a lot of insights, and then I'll speak specifically how it affects each of the 12 signs. But before I start, I just wanted to tell you that on the 8th of July we have a webinar with Nicole Stojanovic on what in astrology gives the richest people. Nicole Stojanovic is a favorite of many of you, so I'm looking forward to have you on that webinar preceding the eclipses. And the first eclipse is a solar eclipse in July and the 11th, which is caused together by Rahu. Rahu is the north node of the sun. And eclipses are about karmic events, things that you have like a contract about even before you're born, the big events that happen in our life, the big transformations of consciousness, the big leaps to the next level. And sometimes, often it happens through crisis, because only big transformation comes through crisis. This is the nature of humans. Very few humans are inspired towards change because everything is okay and they're inspired to make it even better or to grow spiritually. The solar eclipse is weaker though. The solar eclipse is weaker than the lunar eclipse that follows. But the whole July, I'll be more careful about starting things like buying properties or signing contracts, or, because especially a few days before and after an eclipse, it's the light is hidden. The light of the sun or the moon are hidden, and it means that there's a lot of confusion. The eclipses act as portals for invisible forces to come and create chaos, and out of this chaos new beginnings and changes can build. But you don't want to make big decisions, especially when it comes to the second eclipse, the lunar eclipse, which is the strongest in 120 years eclipse, the most strong lunar eclipse in 120 years, that is closest to Earth, and it's gonna be seen in most of Africa, Europe, and in Asia as well. Extremely powerful eclipse. I would advise you a week before this eclipse and a week after the July 27th. And then there is another eclipse in August. This summer, there are 3 eclipses in a row, guys. Very karmic events are about to happen, and very fated events. I mean, things that happen on eclipses are people getting pregnant, birth of babies, things that, and usually within the month of the eclipse. You can feel it a month before, a month after, sometimes even 2 months after. But this is when our lives turn around, and some eclipses take from us because they want to teach us about detachment. That will be the lunar eclipse. It will be about losing things, letting go of things. And some eclipses give us things, so we can further incarnate, and so we can fulfill certain desires that we have, because the purpose of the eclipses are spiritual and soul evolution. And the evolution of the soul happens by, first, there are 2 ways that it happens: that our desires that we have are fulfilled, so we realize that we've been chasing an illusion. For example, you really want to be rich, or you really want to have that guy, or all you always wanted was to have a child, all you always wanted was to have this business. And Rahu eclipses, which is the first one, the solar eclipse, gives us those things. And once we have them, we realize that it's an illusion, that it does not is that not fully create what happiness is for us. So we're still searching inside. But Rahu gives. So in Western astrology, we tend to like Rahu because it's an eclipse. When Rahu is involved in an eclipse, we receive things, we get things, and usually, again, though, they're preceded by some crisis, because a big change and big transformation always involves some kind of crisis. And sudden, it's usually very surprising when eclipses come, but usually it's something that you've had to do for a long time, but you've been postponing, or you didn't have the willpower, and now other sources, other powers take over and start acting through you. And, like eclipses bring things to culmination, so to speak. And maybe you've wanted something for a long time, and this Rahu eclipse now can give it to you, but it might be again preceded by some kind of crisis, but it will be some kind of new beginnings, because solar eclipse is when the sun and the moon are together, creation of something new, female and male polarities are joining together to create new life. But because of Rahu, which is considered a demonic influence, it happens through some kind of shake-up in our life. But this is when it's contracted. It's what's had to happen. There were 2 eclipses on my moon in the last year and a half, and the moon is motherhood, and I got pregnant both times, maybe a month before, a month after. But usually the eclipses, it doesn't mean it will happen on the 11th of July. It means that if something new comes into your life, it might come a month before or a couple of months after. But the eclipses are like those beacons that say that something fated is going to happen in your life. And as I said, the Rahu eclipse, the first one, brings something through crisis, sudden new beginnings, transformations, because Rahu and Ketu, that cause the eclipses, the north and south lunar nodes of the moon, the mythology about them is that they were nagas, which is snakes, dragon. They were a dragon that was cut in two, and the symbology of dragons is that they shed their skin, and snakes as well, for transformation. So the big thing to remember about eclipses is big transformations, and they're never easy. It means about the light is hidden for a little bit, so it's almost like you might feel like something like a metaphorical death of some sort, a death of a part of your life, a death of an old part of you, but so that again the sun or the moon can be reborn when the darkness of the eclipse is removed from them, and because chaos ensues first of some sort, before again the king and the queen, the sun and the moon, can take reign over your life and make it run according to kind of more predictable and normal patterns. But while around the eclipse, a couple of months around, I would say some of you would feel it already from June, some would feel it into August as well, but July is the most intense. There is this darkening. People start to get confused or to change direction in their life. They get sudden changes and transformations are starting to happen. And while it's dark, there are a lot of fears. And we're like, what does the future hold? Rahu eclipses prepare us for the future. They bring new karma. And again, it can bring a lot of fears. When I got pregnant both times, I was full of fears, It's a crisis on the mentality. Even if it gives you something, it's a crisis on your whole lifestyle, on your whole expectation for whatever you wanted for yourself. And then there's something new that comes that is fated, that's totally going to change your life. So this Rahu eclipse on the July the 11th will bring something like that. It gives things, it gives transformations, but through some kind of sudden crisis. New karma is created, then strong passions. Rahu is the mouth of the dragon. The dragon has 2 parts, Rahu and Ketu. The mouth of the dragon is Rahu. It's insatiable. It's something that we want to grab from life more and more. So often, sometimes people can even fall in love around eclipses, and especially Rahu eclipses, in a crazy way that they lose their mind. And because of that, their whole life transforms, and they can do something passionate and intense. That's almost like eclipse of the mind. The sun is our conscious ability to make conscious choices. And Rahu darkens that. The eclipse happens on the sun, so you kind of lose your mind over someone with strong passions and stuff like that. While the next eclipse, July 27th lunar eclipse, is, as I said, the strongest eclipse is going to be seen, especially if you're in the path of the eclipse. If you are able to see that eclipse, your life will definitely be so strongly impacted. But for the whole of the world, I warn you, quite an intense eclipse. It's conjunct Mars, and Mars is retrograde. Mars is a very violent star when it's retrograde. It's much closer to Earth. So, and Ketu means past life. When an eclipse involves Ketu, it's about past lifetimes or past karma, something from the past, and especially that creates a lot of frustration or angry reaction on us. So kind of a old slumbering karma of anger can come to the surface during that time, a week before or a whole month after that. I would say the whole month, this is active, and you can feel like strong, intense emotions. And also it has a square to Uranus, the eclipse, by the way. And Uranus and Mars ultimately want to give freedom and liberation to a person from something. They make you so angry about something. Mars, especially retrograde, you're like, I can no longer tolerate that. There's so much like pent up fire that is starting like volcano to erupt. Be careful not to erupt and lose your minds again, lose your heads when the moon is eclipsed. The weeks before and after, we can do crazy stuff that we regret. I mean, the last time the moon was, Mars was with Ketu, there were quite famous suicides of Anthony Bourdain and Kate Spade on the exact day. So people can lose their mind, and this time is much more powerful because Mars is retrograde, so much closer to Earth, much more intense. The influences are way more karmic. It's bringing anger, pain. Mars is all those things from the very bottom of your soul, from past lifetimes, from earlier periods in your life, something from the past. Ketu rules the past. This kind of anger and this pain is going to erupt now on the surface, but the ultimate goal of Ketu eclipses is to release it, to release that anger, or to use that anger to detach yourself from something from the past that is no longer necessary in your life. So there will be powerful endings. Losing something. Ketu is about letting go of something. I don't know if you see it well here, but letting go of something. Ketu is the tail of the dragon. While Rahu takes something, that's why we usually get something in life during Rahu eclipses or around the months around it. In Ketu eclipses, we let go of something. It's the tail where you excrete. So where old karma, the baggage we all carry a lot of baggage with us, and that's Ketu, the karma. And we need to travel lightly on our path. And when the baggage becomes too much, it's like we can't move forward. But we're so afraid to lose something. We're so afraid to lose a relationship. We're so afraid to lose a safety of some sort. We're so afraid to lose a job or whatever. And Ketu comes, and there is a Ketu eclipse, and says enough. Yes, you've been thinking about that, but you haven't had the strength to do it. Now you're letting it go, and there is no choice. Power stronger than you take over, karmic powers, and you have to drop that baggage that you've been carrying with you from past lifetimes or from past experiences, or something that is no longer necessary in your life. It can almost be severed, just like Ketu and Rahu, the head of the dragon and the tail, was severed by the gods because they tried to be immortal. The same way something can sometimes, even literally, when there is an eclipse of Ketu on someone's ascendant or something of the body, there might be a part of the body that gets severed. That's very extreme cases, hopefully not for you. It's happening on my ascendant. I hope I don't come with one leg less or something by the end of that. But it's about letting go of certain chapter of your life, and it's going to happen in a violent way, or it's going to happen because Mars is our willpower, and it's going to happen because we get angry, or because we're like, okay, now I have much more stronger willpower to do that. And Uranus is also about cutting connections and about changing something in a powerful way, in a sudden way. So this eclipse is really what I'm gonna focus on a lot in those predictions, but ending about karma. So the positive thing of it is, yes, we can lose something. We have to change totally the direction of something, let go of something. But we can also release old karma, that is heavy baggage. We can also release, complete something. We can, if we've been burdened with a karmic disease or with a karmic unhealthy obsession or something, we might finally be able to detach from it in some way. It's a big karmic conclusion, and for every person it's in a different area of their life. Just be careful for very extreme emotional reactions, because the moon is our feelings. It's being eclipsed. It feels as if some people might become hysterical, panicky around that time. But remember, this is a period of big alchemical transmutation that's happening in your subconscious. The layers of your karma are being rearranged, are being cleansed, are being, kind of like gods and powers above us rearranging those things for us. And it's fearful, it's scary, it can feel confusing, it can feel exhilarating for some people. It is rare, but for some people they can. And after that, I guess even in August it continues, but we'll speak about that in the August videos. And so, yes, I just want you to remember, yes, it will be an intense month for every person. These things can be happening, those big transformations that the snakes, Rahu and Ketu, the eclipses want to create in our life, the hiding of the light from us, basically the sun and the moon are our consciousness, our feelings and our consciousness. When those two are blocked and hidden by the eclipses, which is what Rahu and Ketu, these are the dragons that swallow the sun or the moon according to mythology, we lose. Darkness happens, it's like a metaphorical death, and the new rebirth of light comes again, the light of the sun or the moon. So our life comes up out of the darkness, emerges after the eclipses on a new level, on a new direction. So big transformations, guys. Ultimately, it can be used for good people that have been craving for transformations for a long time. It might be now for them. And of course, it's very hard to predict how exactly eclipse will affect a person. Even if I have your chart specifically, I can say more who exactly will feel it the most. If you have a planet exactly on those degrees, this one is at 4 degrees Aquarius, so anything, and this one is at 20 degrees Cancer. But again, everyone will be affected somehow. They have those degrees somewhere in their horoscope, certain area of their life. And I would like you to check your ascendant sign for this prediction, and of course your sun sign, but always the ascendant sign is more important. And of course, not everyone will have those big transformations. The eclipse is twice a year, every year, but still let's see where you can go through big changes, big transformations. Libra, how will the two eclipses affect you? Let's start with the first one, which is the weaker one, but affects a very pivotal house in your horoscope. And actually, it's the first of quite a few eclipses over the next 2 years that will happen in your 10th house. And that's the house of your social status and career and vocation, and your worldly responsibilities, your reputation. So there'll be like a big transformation starting to happen. Maybe not immediately for all Libras, but that's the first eclipse. Some of you will feel it from now. Others might have to wait for the next Cancer eclipses next summer. But the kickstart of a big transformation in your reputation, in your vocation, in your career. And this eclipse, because it's with Rahu, the planet that gives material manifestation, that gives us to trap us more into the illusion of incarnation, but we like it, we're Westerners. we don't want to stop incarnating, maybe like people from the Eastern religions. So it's going to give us, and it's going to give you Cancers, not Cancers, Libras. It's going to give you it's in Cancer, but it's in your 10th house of career. It might be like some crisis that first happens that will reorient you towards a new career, for example. And that will gain you something. And the prestige and reputation, usually when the eclipses with Rahu in your 10th house, tends to grow. And Rahu is in your 10th house once every 19 years. And for 2 years, the eclipses happen there. So maybe not immediately now from July, but I said you have 2 years to have like a sudden jump and rise in regards to your reputation, in regards to your social status and career. Often, sometimes people can even get married and stuff like that, or divorce to change their social status, or basically start a new career, get a new reputation, a totally new direction in regards to their vocation as well. Or sudden rise in their career can happen. I remember when there was an eclipse in my 10th house from the ascendant, that's when from working alone, I started working with another 15 psychics and astrologers. All of a sudden, the 10th house is being a boss, a leader. You can become like a boss or leader or have more executive responsibilities. And it happens again, as I said, with Rahu. Again, usually some crisis can happen initially, but the rise can be sudden, and a sudden change in your reputation. And it gives things strong passion. Rahu incites in us, Rahu eclipses incite really strong passions that might sometimes lead us to some crazy and reckless actions. So I want you to be, especially a week before and a couple of weeks after the eclipse, to be, when you're making executive decisions in regards to your career, in regards to the achievements you have to do, in regards to your social status, to maybe first say a prayer. Maybe first, consult with someone else as well, because Rahu can make us, because we're blinded by strong passion and ambition or very strong, powerful feelings, we can hurt ourselves in the process. And some of you might feel quite scared because it's a new beginning in regards to their career, in regards to their reputation, and the worldly responsibilities. So they might be fearful of the future, but know that Rahu just wants to trampoline you to higher material manifestation in regards to that. And even if some crisis happens, or stressful situations with bosses, with authority figures, with father figure as well. This is happening, this eclipse is exactly on the 10th house cusp of my husband, who is Libra ascendant. Sometimes can be like sudden reversals and big changes with the father, in the life of the father, or in their reputation, or um, in their career, as I said. So interesting things, and they can be big temptations in regards to people in authority, or in regards to you can become too greedy, because Rahu is very greedy in regards to getting more power and getting more authority. But in the West, we see this as good because this greed pushes you to achieve more, and that's why Rahu gives us things. You can also incorporate very foreign and new things in regards to your career. You can incorporate new goals for your career. Rahu is something foreign, something that you've never done before, something that is exotic and tempting in some sort in regards to how you implement leadership, in regards to your career and all those things. Okay, oh, your dad might go crazy in a sense. He can go through, buy a Ferrari, become super desirous, which is like Rahu 10 house, and start doing crazy things, go to live in Thailand, But the 10 house is father, is bosses, or your boss might do that. Your own ambitions, your own career, all those things can be happening there, big transformations, which give something material. And then the other eclipse, Libras, is happening in your 5th house of children, of romance, and creative projects. Well, that eclipse is the more powerful one, but it does not directly affect you, but still the 5th house is an important one. So it might be the ending of some romantic attachment, for example, or maybe the emptying of romantic experiences in your life for a little bit, like Ketu dries them out. But usually it might be something that, the 5th house is um, people you're dating, romantic partners of interest. You might, on the positive side, you might be able to end old karma with such people. And if you have emotional attachments, which is the lunar eclipse is about emotions, these can be eclipsed and they can basically be removed somehow. And this attachment can end and can be dispersed. This is what Ketu eclipses do. They disperse, they let go. And some romantic attachments from past, Ketu rules the past lifetimes or previous experiences in life. Old karma basically can end with such people. Or you can be liberated from obsessing over romantic attachments, for example. But some crisis and transformation can happen in your love life. Hope not, my husband. And also it's your creative projects. Maybe you're working on some creative project and things get very frustrating. Mars is there. There might be fights and arguments as well with romantic partners or with children, because Mars is retrograde during the eclipse, and the whole of July it's retrograde there. And there might be some fighting or some kind of escalation of passions there. But the ultimate thing is to release it and let go of your attachments and wanting to be right, or wanting to be, you have to kind of cool off. Eclipses with Ketu is like, let me distance myself from this. If too much drama starts happening with children, with romantic experiences, just distance yourself. Or if you have to be involved and continue, just release the expectations from the results. Try to do the best you can and release the expectations. There might be also completing of some creative project, but it might be quite stressful. Mars is retrograde. There might be like a lot of stresses and fixing something and trying to make it better, and things breaking and you're trying to correct them, and at the end you complete it and you let go and move on. Some creative project that you're working on. It might be some business that you're building, or it might be some website that you're building, or it might be some painting that you're doing, all those things that we do with our intelligence, that we might have to complete or let go of one such creative project. Or some of you, it might be, I've seen once, there was an actor aspiring actor. Fifth house is performance, and they had an eclipse in the fifth house, and they just kind of woke up to the illusion that they cannot basically make it, so they let go of that creative pursuit basically, and there was involvement of disappointment and loss of some sort, just like it can happen the same to romantic partners, that you feel disappointed and a sense of loss about a romantic part of your life and you let go of it, but ultimately Ket wants to liberate you from things that are not part of your path, you know. um, you might be more stressed in regards to matters with children. They might be much more active, and hopefully protect your children if you're a Libra ascendant. Make sure they're well, and make sure you're not doing risky things. They're not doing risky things as well. Don't lose your child. When you're on the bus, losing something is south node eclipses. No, come, please. Or you might have to let go of the idea of trying to control a situation with a romantic partner or a situation with children of some sort. There might be some crisis that's happening in those areas, but again, the ultimate thing is to know that you can't be fully in control sometimes, and just to let go and let God. This is what eclipses with Ketu are about. Let go and let God. God will take care of it. And it's kind of some fated events often that happen in regards to romantic matters, in regards to romantic partners, in regards to creative projects. Okay. And then Libra, Mercury is going retrograde in your 11th house. That's your friends and acquaintances. You might be seeing from the end of July people that you haven't seen in a while. Some acquaintances that can come back in your life. Friends that you haven't seen for some time. Get to talk with people that been missing for a bit, and you get together again. It can also indicate some important clarifying conversations that you have to do with friends or acquaintances of something that's been bothering you. And that you haven't said before. It can escalate, so you have to address those issues. Also, the 11th house is gains, bonuses, pensions, anything that comes to you as a salary from the work you do, from the business you do, the gains that you come financially. So Mercury retrograde there indicates that you have to be, more, you have to possibly in regards to your socio-economic goals, gainful goals, you have to readjust something. And you have to change certain aspects of your socio-economic goals in life. The 11th house rules those, which will change in some way as well your gains. The gains that you receive from maybe something has to be fixed or improved in regards to your goals, and how you see the plans that you have of how you achieve those goals have to be revised and changed from around the 20th of July, when Mercury starts becoming retrograde and stationary and retrograde. And in worst case scenario, in extreme case scenario, Mercury retrograde in the 11th house over the end of July and August can indicate reevaluating certain friendships, and if they're no longer valid, or memberships in groups and societies, reevaluating those and letting go of them. Or in the best case scenario, just something has to be fixed, they improved, and they become even better, stronger. And Jupiter is going direct in a second house. Okay, that's the good news. From the 10th of July onwards, if you had some financial complications, if you had some financial delays, if you had some, something that you really had to work hard in, which would bring financial resources of some sort, they will start some assets, or maybe you invested something somewhere. Second house is what we do. 11th house is the money we gain. That we said that you might be revising a little bit those socioeconomic goals. The second house, where Jupiter is going direct, is how we manage our wealth, how we manage our resources, and our possessions. And with Jupiter there going direct, if there were some difficulties there, if there were some complications, they will start improving. Maybe some investment that you made will start paying off and giving rewards now. As well, they can indicate that Jupiter going direct in your second house, that new opportunities will gradually from July start appearing in regards to finances, in regards to financial opportunities, let's say. And if you want to buy something that's quite expensive, maybe now you'll be able to find the resources, or will be able to acquire something that's very valuable, and that you put a lot of value in, or that on its own is actually very valuable. So thank you so much. And Jupiter in the second house can bring more of abundance, because Jupiter is abundant, starting to move direct. More abundance in enjoying sensual pleasures, pleasures of the mouth, food, uh, good clothes, good music material, anything that you enjoy through the five senses. Collections as well. Any material resources can start kind of, you can gain such, or you can possessions that are valuable, or expand them. So thank you so much, Libras. Enjoy the eclipses. Okay, navigate the eclipses gracefully, because Libras are usually moderate sign. They know how to balance things, and that's what we need the most during eclipses, because we get out of balance. We either become too fearful about something, Ketu, or sorrowful, or too crazy about something and lose our heads, Rahu. So thank you so much, and I'll see you next month.